Facilitator for Unit 4 hearing for the We the People National Finals. In a moment, I will have the judges introduce themselves, followed by the students, and then we will begin the hearing. Students will deliver a 4-minute prepared statement, followed by 8 minutes of judges' questions. My microphone will be muted during the hearing, and I will be holding up the 1-minute time sign. So we have the 1 minute, and then the time is up. And I suggest that you use the gallery view rather than the speaker view. At the conclusion of the hearing, judges will give brief feedback to teams, and then we will conclude. All right, and just so the judges know, Will is joining us via his cell phone. All right, he had another event today as well. All right, so you guys can go ahead and begin.
Good afternoon, Kentucky. Congratulations to you. We are very pleased to serve as your judges, and we're very pleased that you were the winning team from the great state of Kentucky. We're going to introduce ourselves. We'll ask you to introduce yourselves and your teacher, and then we'll give you the question, and we look forward to a lively conversation and discussion with you today. My name is Tom Tinder, and I'm an attorney in Charleston, West Virginia, and from the picture of Hennings, Kentucky on the one screen, that looks like it's probably where the Hatfield-McCoy feud was held, but anyway.
It's actually Scotland.
Oh, is that right? Okay, excuse me. Robert?
I'm Robert Dian. I teach American government at the University of Evansville, which might as well be in the Commonwealth. We're so close.
And hi, everyone. My name is Zach Eastburn. I'm an attorney from Madison, Wisconsin.
You need
Hi,
to
my name is Will
unmute. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Will. Start again, please.
Hi, my name is Will Griffith.
Hi, I'm Maggie Stevie.
My name is Liam Pergram.
Hello, I'm Ethan Talbot.
And my name is Juliana Russ, and collectively we represent Unit 4 from Highlands High School and the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Our teacher is Ms. Megan Boyman-Hennies. Thank you.
Okay. Unit 4, and today we're going to do question number 1. Let me read that question to you. Quote, it would be inconsistent with the constitutional separation of the executive and legislative powers to let the prerogative, pardon power, be exercised by the latter, close quote. What were the framers' reasons for giving the president the pardon power, and do you agree or disagree with them? According to framer James Wilson, if the president abuses the pardon power, quote, he can be impeached and prosecuted, close quote. Do you agree with Wilson? Why or why not? And in your opinion, what constitutes, quote, high crimes and misdemeanors, close quote? You may begin.
Constitution attempted to create a functioning government system, they borrowed many ideas from British philosophy and historical practice in law. This includes the power of pardoning, which was held by the king and royal governors. In the context of the United States, this pardon power exists as a primary executive check on the judicial branch, as it grants the executive branch the power to completely set aside all punishment for a federal crime.
The presidential pardon is intended to equally distribute power between branches. However, it does not work this way over time. This panel disagrees with the framers' original reasoning for the pardon because it creates an imbalance within the federalist system and it eliminates legislative and judicial input rather than minimizing it.
In the Philadelphia Convention of 1787, George Mason declared the Senate already has too much power. There can be no danger more than too much leniency in legislative pardons, as the Senate must concur, and the president, moreover, can require 2/3 of both houses. Mason's position emphasized how the pardon power keeps both the judicial and legislative branches in check.
It ensures only the executive branch can influence pardons unless deemed ineligible as laid out by Article 2, Section 2 under the Pardon Clause. This section outlines the powers of the president, one of which being the power to pardon federal criminals and civil offenders. The specific doctrine states, he shall have the power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except in cases of impeachment.
The limitation on impeachment proceedings was meant to serve as a check in its own right. However, the framers could not have predicted the expansion of executive power that would occur in the centuries to follow. Following the Constitution's enactment, in the present day, checks on the presidential pardon are not restrictive enough, often resulting in a gross abuse of power.
This panel agrees with Wilson's statement, implying that the president can be impeached or prosecuted when the presidential power to pardon is abused. However, partisan loyalties often present difficulties in adequately following through with the investigative and punitive processes. This results in a miscarriage of justice and opens the door for further breach of duty in future terms. Specifically in Article 2, Section 4, the Constitution outlines how government officials can be impeached and removed from office if it is believed that they have abused their power.
A significant example of this is former President Bill Clinton's pardon of his own brother, Roger, who had served a one-year sentence on a drug conviction. Likewise, former President Ronald Reagan's pardon of New York Yankees owner George Steinbrenner for charges involving illegal campaign contributions to Richard Nixon's presidential campaign. Clinton and Reagan's utilization of the pardon power was inappropriate because their intentions were for personal gain and benefited their political party.
A more relevant example can be seen with former President Donald Trump, as he pardoned his former chief strategist Stephen K. Bannon. Bannon was charged in 2020 with defrauding donors who gave money to his private fundraiser supporting construction of the US-Mexico border wall. Towards the end of the president's term, it is common for a multitude of pardons to be issued. This process almost has no checks, allowing the president to issue as many pardons as they want. The pardon power is totally at the discretion of the executive branch.
In 1974, the Judiciary Committee characterized the phrase high crimes and misdemeanors as a term of art, like other constitutional phrases such as levying war and due process. This has allowed the Supreme Court to interpret this doctrine flexibly. It can apply to a variety of suspicious happenings. This panel loosely defines high crimes regarding misconduct by officials. While this interpretation does include ordinary crimes, the following punishments may be held to a different standard because of the expectations officials are held to when they agree to the oath of office at the start of a term.
The first impeachment in American history was the impeachment of Senator William Blount, who tried to sell off sections of the Louisiana Purchase and other sections of land to Great Britain. The high crime he was accused of in this case was treason, a key example of the term high crimes and misdemeanors being used to mean endangering the American democratic system. Thank you, and we are now ready for your questions.
Thank you. You talked about impeachment, and you said that it is not restrictive enough. How would you make it more restrictive or better from a restrictive standpoint?
I think.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. The angle that our panel, I think, generally agrees that we would take was some sort of check through the judicial branch, because we see sort of an example being the pardon given by Jimmy Carter to draft dodgers after the Vietnam War. A lot of pardons realistically wouldn't pass through Congress. And I think it's implied in the Constitution that they're not really supposed to. They're sort of part of the president's implied powers to overturn, or at least the implications to overturn sort of Congress and be an executive decision.
Additionally, because Congress does play such an important role in the impeachment process, despite the fact that Congress is not the judicial branch and therefore does not have the same knowledge of the law as the court might have, in introducing the judicial branch into the
To build
impeachment process.
off my colleague Ethan's point, I believe that, to build off Ethan's point, I believe that the judicial branch should serve as a check, because through the judicial branch,
Okay, Robert?
Yeah, I'm afraid we had a glitch there.
Yeah.
I'd like to go back to this idea of amnesty, because you mentioned Jimmy Carter, and then there have been other times where groups of people were given amnesty and pardoned by the president. Do you think that since Jimmy Carter, there's been a time where that might be put to good use by a contemporary president in your lifetime?
Yeah,
If we look at,
Yes.
sorry.
If you look at during President Obama's term, he went and pardoned drug offenders who were incarcerated for drug charges, and he did that so that it could put this message forward that it was to get rid of the stigma against drug use and really helping our society grow.
Thank you.
Maggie,
We can also, sorry.
go ahead.
Okay. We can also see this like the same exact situation where presidents in recent years have used this presidential pardon to power to take a political stance, just like my colleague Liam mentioned with Obama. Or we also have with President Trump, where he pardoned John Ponder, who was incarcerated for robbing a bank, but utilized his time in prison to create a program for future inmates to kind of rehabilitate that process and create like civil progress and use his time for good. So we have situations like that where presidents can continue to pardon individuals, like a large group of individuals who work towards a common goal and are utilizing their time in prison to improve upon their current situation.
Thank you.
So, towards the beginning of your opening statement, we talked about how the pardon power acts as a check on the judiciary. And I think I understand that concept. The judge makes a mistake or something like that, then, or whatever, the president could step in and fix that. But I'm wondering about the other way around. Is it possible, or can the judiciary act as a check on the pardon power?
I do believe that the judiciary could act as a check on the pardon power, because the judiciary serves and deems if a law is constitutional or unconstitutional in cases. So then I can believe that a pardon power could also follow the same structure as a law, where a pardon could be deemed constitutional or unconstitutional.
While this currently isn't the case now, what my colleague Will had just said, we believe that it might be in the best interest of the pardon power judicial check on it, because there is such free use of it available right now to the president. And so allowing the judicial branch to assess whether or not the pardon power is applicable because of the law is really important as well.
I think the main importance when looking to improve upon this issue is like keeping in mind that a lot of instances where former presidents have utilized the pardon power to benefit their own personal political party or had an affiliation with that partisanship, and that's a major abuse of the power to pardon. Like we have looking at former presidents where they have pardoned like previous workers under their administration, and that is obviously partisanship in the process.
To build off of my colleague's point, the judicial branch can implement a series of checks that are akin to the office of the pardon attorney, which is a part of the executive branch, which is a sort of check on the president's pardon power. But if that power is given to the judicial branch, it would be much more well researched and thorough.
Should a sitting president be able to pardon themselves? Yes or no? Why?
I do not believe.
No. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
You go ahead.
Okay. No, a sitting president should not be able to pardon themselves, because then we would see cases where with President Trump, where if it is deemed that he has abused his power, he can get out of it easily by just pardoning himself.
I think that it's important to note, like we said in our opening statement, that although we mentioned that officials, when they are sworn in under the oath of office, they are actually held to a higher sense of accountability. So implying that the president would have the ability to pardon himself, I think would just completely violate that sense of accountability and assurance between the United States, the citizens of the United States, and the officials that we elect.
I also believe that the framers of the Constitution completely did not intend for the pardon to be used on the person who has the pardon power, because that kind of goes with their intention of creating a government that is not a tyranny. And if the president has the ability to pardon themselves, like Maggie was saying, there is no accountability in that area, which is completely against what the United States was founded upon.
Thank you.
I'm raring to ask a question, but I'm sensitive to the idea that we're almost out of time, and I could tee up a good one. And there we go. It would have been good.
And they would have had the answer for it. Thank you. That was very well done. We really enjoyed that. I must commend you that you have definitely done your research, because you provided us with some examples and concepts that we had not heard previously. Thank you for doing that. You know, this whole process is just a discussion basis that you're supposed to have, like you'd have around a lunchroom table if you were in school for lunch and so forth, or around a dining room table at home. And the questions we ask, there's no right or wrong answer. It is just, what is your opinion? And can you back that up with good, hard facts and information? And I thought you did a good job with that. And I want to strongly urge you to make sure that this is not just a semester class responsibility or some one-time activity, but you certainly have all the abilities to be and are good citizens. And please continue to do that as you become our future leaders. Thank you for participating. Congratulations to you and good luck to you.
I would agree.
Thank you.
This is a
Thank
great
you
way
very
to
much.
spend an afternoon. This has been such a tough year for everybody, and here we are conversing over Zoom about the presidential pardon power, and it's just remarkable. So my hats off to you for doing this and for getting so far. I share the view of my colleague that you guys did a great job. So far, you're the first team to come right out of the box with a firmly expressed view. You said, as a panel, we feel this way, that the framers couldn't have foreseen where we ended up, and that the pardon power has gotten out of hand. And I thought that was a very refreshing way to dive in. You said that the checks were insufficient, which then led to your presentation and some of the questions that we posed. During the Q&A, I thought it was a very sophisticated observation that if you included the legislative branch, the Senate or whatever, that things like Jimmy Carter's amnesty for the people who went to Canada would not have been passed. That's just not politically realistic. And so it would further complicate a practice that is meant to bring about mercy, and it would deny people justice. One last thing, I'm really happy that you mentioned the examples that you did, including John Ponder, the first time we've heard him today. It might have been even better to underscore the points you were making, to mention that John Ponder's pardon, which I think is fully admirable, a good thing to have done, happened during the Republican National Convention on television, which maybe was not a good thing to have done. It's probably evidence in itself of the politicization that you guys were talking about, but that's a minor quibble. On balance, you guys did a terrific job.
Yeah, and to echo that, you know, my main point of positive affirmation to you guys is exactly that first point that was said, which is you guys answered the question, and you had a very crisp answer that I latched onto, and I wanted to ask a million questions and couldn't. And so I really appreciate that. And as a lawyer, it's nice to know where you're going right away when you provide a roadmap like that. So kudos to you, and especially for one of you being in a car right now as an alumnus of this program. I know it can be a very nerve-wracking thing. So really, you guys did a great job overcoming a lot of adversity in getting here today. What I liked about that, you staked a position what I would have liked probably to see more in the questions and the question and answer phase of this would be some healthy scholarly disagreement on certain things. If you know, and I know it's tough sometimes if you all agree on something, but to really just to fully explore the contours of the issues that we're raising, to say, well, you know, my colleague says this, but I think this, and here's why. And you know, maybe the pardon power should be not checked, and the Constitution says the president has the power, and so we're, you know, if we're going with a strict, you know, constitutional textual approach here, like there isn't any. But you know, the answers you guys did give were well thought out. They were reasoned, supported with some great examples. There were, in addition to your unique initial opening statement, provided some fresh examples that we had not heard yet. So that certainly will go a long way in distinguishing you guys. So overall, just to echo again, great job. Thank you for letting us be a part of this.
Great job, you guys. Yay.
Thank you so much.
You guys.
Thank you all so much.